At the moment, we are adding more and more files. All these files are related to the theme. For example, we have a footer.php, and we can use this file to print the footer in all the pages. This way we don't repeat code. The same goes for the header.php. We have the front page. We're going to be using this template for the front end, for the front page of our site. We also have the index.php. We're going to be using this for the blog. We have page.php. We're going to be using to print all the pages that we create under this pages section. And finally, we have the single.php. We're going to be using this to print all the posts that we create under this section. But we need to create a file where we're going to add all the functionality related to this theme. And WordPress recommends that we call these functions.php. And in the functions.php is the file where you can add all the functionality or all the functions related to your theme. So let's say that you want to create a menu. Well, you create the menu right here. You want to create different sizes for your images. Well, you add the code right here. You add the style sheets or JavaScript files. You add the code right here. If you want to create a widget zone, you add the code in the functions.php. At the moment, the file is empty, but we're going to create a PHP block. And WordPress provides something called the hooks. For example, if you want to add a style sheet, WordPress provides a hook where you can create your own code and hook that code into WordPress. This way, the code that you write in the functions.php will communicate with WordPress. So we're going to create a function using function. And it's always a good idea to use the name of your theme. For example, I'm going to add La Pizzeria _styles. So this function will add all the styles. And we're using this La Pizzeria. This way we make sure that this doesn't interfere or doesn't collapse with names that you can use or that you can find in another plugin or another theme. And you hook this using add action. And the hook where we're gonna make this code run is going to be called WP and Q scripts. Then we add a comma, and inside quotes we add this function. So this way, the rest of the code that we're gonna go write inside this function is gonna communicate with WordPress. So we're gonna create a small example. I'm gonna add a comment, adding style sheets. And we're gonna add a function called WP register style. And we're gonna register the style for this project. Next, I'm gonna add style. The first parameter is the name for this style sheet. The second one is the path for this style sheet. You can see that we have style.css right here. And if I open this, so for example, let's say that I open the applications, then we open MAMP. So we have this in MAMP, then we have htdocs, then we have La Pizzeria, then we have WP content, then we have themes, then we have La Pizzeria. Instead of writing something like MAMP, htdocs, La Pizzeria, WP content, themes, La Pizzeria again, style.css. Instead of writing this, WordPress provides a function that we can use called get template directory URI. And this way, this function will print the full path to this style.css. And this way you can also make your theme more portable. This way you can only copy and paste the theme in your server, in the live server, and you don't have to make any changes. Finally, you only have to provide the style.css right here. Then you can pass an array of dependencies. So for example, let's say that we're using Bootstrap, and Bootstrap needs to add normalize.css first, then Bootstrap. So you can pass, for example, Bootstrap right here, and this way you tell WordPress that it needs to load the Bootstrap style sheet first, and then the style.css. At the moment, I'm gonna keep this empty. We're gonna add normalize in the next video. And finally, you give this a version number. So once you register the style, you have to make sure that you enqueue the style. And we're gonna add WP onqueue style. And I'm gonna add the same name that we have right here. So for example, let's say that I open here body, background color, green, and I save this and reload. You can see that nothing changed, and that's because if I open the functions.php, this is a function that we are adding, but we are adding the hook into the WP onqueue scripts. We are communicating our function with WordPress, but this WP onqueue scripts requires an extra function to be running. And the best place to add this function is in the header.php. Right here, you can add a PHP block and add WP head. This is the function that you need to add your style sheets into WordPress. So let's reload. And now you can see that we have the green color in the background. So now you can change something here, for example, black, reload, and now you can see the background color black. So this way you can add more and more style sheets into WordPress. You can use the same function to add JavaScript files, jQuery, or jQuery plugins. We're gonna add more and more files. We're gonna be using Normalize, some Google fonts, Font Awesome, some galleries, and a bunch of different JavaScript files like Google Maps. So let's continue working in the next video.